Good morning, friends. This is Laura with Potpourri of Life. I hope you had a restful evening, and I hope that you get to enjoy this gorgeous day. At least here in New Hampshire, it's a beautiful day with the sun and the temps back up in the low 70s. Yet, laundry's on the line, and I can probably get out there and rake some more leaves in order to get them mulched and into the compost and so forth. So today, being Sunday, my reflective Sunday, what I wanted to share is some thoughts that I have had over the last couple of weeks. Yes, they are thoughts that I've had over the past couple of years, but more so, it's become even more apparent as we went and visited my father-in-law before his passing. And that is compassion. Where is it? Where is it missing and why? Now, first I want to clarify, I am not insulting anybody in healthcare because I truly believe you are under so much stress that you might not realize how some of that is being portrayed upon patients and family members and so forth. Because when we got to the hospital, we were called early in the morning, and we were called to get there if we wanted to see our father, David's dad. So we got up, we got there, we left here at 4, we got to the hospital. And when we got there, we were told to wait. And then when we were allowed to get upstairs, we were told that we could only go in 2 at a time. Okay, so those are the hospital policies. In addition, we not only had to wear a mask, we had to wear a specific mask and a gown and gloves and all that good stuff. Okay. And then they said only 2 at a time, and I think I just mentioned that. And so when I asked the question, why just 2 at a time? The response was in a negative way. We were spoken down to. And neither of us, it was my husband, myself, and my daughter, not one of us were yelling at them. We were just saying, can you explain why? You called us here, you called at midnight. A lot of us left at 4 a.m. to be here because you said we needed to get here. Why all of a sudden are you putting restrictions, putting us off to 11 o'clock and so forth? And they were talking down. My daughter was trying to talk to them, and finally I said, time out. We came in here because my father-in-law is dying. We have someone we love who is dying, and you're yelling at us. We haven't been mean to you. We might be, a little upset, but not one of us has yelled at you. So you need to chill out, you need to calm down and speak to us so that you can clearly explain to us what's going on and why. The reason is it's not the nurses, it's not the doctors, it's administration enforcing these rules. And of course, the comment came out, well, you're kind of lucky because 2 years ago you would not have been able to see your father-in-law before he passed. I said, nice. So, and then the waiting room, we had to go back downstairs. I said, you don't have a waiting room here on this floor? No, you have to go back downstairs. I said, okay, whatever. I can't deal. Seriously, the one thing I have learned is to walk away when people are stressed so bad that they're being hurtful without them even realizing that they're hurtful. Now, I am not picking on the healthcare because it's happening everywhere. And I see it with customers at stores. I see it with business owners. I see it in a variety of venues that is just like, come on, folks. I want to share something with you. My father-in-law's passing. Our family is there because we love him. We're there early in the morning because we love him. Compassion. I'm going to bring this right in front of me so I can have my eye vision for you. Compassion is a feeling of deep sympathy and sorrow for another who is hurting in pain, or has misfortune and is accompanied by a strong desire to help the suffering. Now, Jesus Christ was the ultimate in sharing compassion. He didn't care where you were coming from. He understood your heart. He understood your pain, and he shared compassion. People treated him poorly too, but he still loved. Now, I realize that most people, or many people, are not Christians. But I also know that many, many people are hurting. And a lot of us who have lost loved ones are hurting. A friend posted a sign that is at her PCP's office, and how they have listed out if you are aggressive, if you do anything abusive, which is actually their interpretation, actually. Now, abuse to me is the way you speak to somebody, if you're violent, any of those things. I get that. But if you're aggressive, I think there's a confusion, because it's not just with the past experience with my father-in-law passing. It's also experiences that I have experienced in the hospital or clinical setting of walking in, and some of the, and I won't go into details, but we're not treated well. We're not treated well. So if you don't want consumers, whether it's in healthcare, retail, whatever, if you don't want that negative response, then you need to be kind and understand that the patient or the patient's family is not the one who created what is happening. We didn't do it. So when you yell at people, when you talk down to them, they're going to respond in a way that you're going to just get the security guard and cart them out. Is that really appropriate? Is that really fair? Now, mind you, I'm not talking about some things that I might not have seen. You have seen some very aggressive behavior. I've seen some of it on the street and within different areas. That's why I don't mind staying home. My chickens don't do that to me. And, you know, I don't tolerate meanness here at the house either. Can we stop? Can we stop taking our anger out on other people? Can we start our morning and give thanks to God? Ask Him to guide our hearts. And if you're not a Christian, can you at least look in the mirror and ask that when you go in to serve in the medical facility, most especially, or in any service that you do, can you at least seek some form of guidance to be kind? Now, I know that you're going to have triggers. I have triggers based on my past. And one of the triggers is when you yell at me, I have to hold my tongue. I have to hold myself back, because your yelling and talking down to me causes a response within me. But because of how we are going to be treated, I have to step back and hold back. And you know what that has done for me? I have cut out so many healthcare providers because I don't want to be treated like that anymore. We spend a lot of money on insurance. We spend a lot of money on co-pays and deductibles. We are paying you to do your job. Do I think you need to be mistreated? Not at all. Please hear those words. You do not deserve to be mistreated by patients, by supervisors, office managers, or even upper management who are making decisions for you that you can't change. There's a lot of things that have changed, and I find it sad, and I find it unfortunate, because the more these changes take place, the more mistreatment, people are going to leave. Not just healthcare providers, like nurses and doctors, but patients as well. We don't want this. We go to our clinics in the hospital because we trust that we will be cared for. And yet when we get there, we get this kind of treatment. So while we were downstairs, his nurse for the evening came down and talked, and she asked my daughter and I some questions because my husband was upstairs with his sister. And so I asked her some questions, and this is what she did. She sat down. She pulled a chair over and she talked to us. We asked a few questions. Now, she was already clocked out. And she took the time to share some things. And she goes, we have a lot that we're dealing with. And I said, I know. But I said, we didn't do anything mean up there. She goes, it's because we are so triggered. And, and I told her, I said, I understand that. I worked in healthcare before COVID. And I saw how some patients, probably not to the degree that we have today, but I saw how patients were mistreating staff. I was mistreated once horribly by a gentleman who was going in for some surgery, and quite honestly, when he snapped at me and started talking down to me, I understood. But in order to respect him and to care for him, I had to change from that warm, fuzzy person to the professional with no warmth, just enough. And I said, okay, I'll be right back. And I walked away. When I returned, he said, my wife said I mistreated you. I said, yes, you did, but I understand why. I said, going in for a procedure is not, it's scary because you never know the good or the bad of the outcome. So I understand. He goes, well, I want to apologize for how I treated you. And I said, thank you. And then I was able to become myself again. I didn't have to put up that shield, that barrier, because he understood. But I didn't yell at him. When I left, I just said, I took a deep breath and I said, okay, let me see what I can do. But he could see, his wife could see that my demeanor, that's the word, how it changed. Because honestly, folks, I don't take abuse very well. But I also believe that we need to be kind to one another. And there's been some things that have happened to me that I'm just like, I'm so done. I want to share another thing, though. I want to share something that has blown me away. As I work with my husband's the executor of the estate. Because of what he's working on some different things, plus he has to work. I'm doing all the phone calls. I'm doing all the paperwork. So I told my sister I'm the executive secretary accountant to the estate. So it's kind of, and honestly, that's kind of what it is, because I have to get the paperwork together. I have to write the letters. I'm not complaining. I'm just pulling all this information together in order for my husband to keep in check of what he has to do, sign things and so forth. Because I can't take over. This is his job. But he's never had this responsibility before, so I'm there to support him. But as I made phone calls, the crematorium, the insurance companies, credit cards, a variety of different people, I have encountered a sense of compassion I wasn't expecting, except for AAA. A lot of people, if he paid more than from when he died or the time I called, they were able to send us a check to the estate to in order to reimburse for what he wasn't going to use. that was fabulous. So I asked AAA about the same thing. They said, no, we don't do that. I said, okay, good to know. I said, because we had thought about joining AAA. I guess we won't do that now. And honestly, folks, we need to be honest with people. Oops, sorry about moving the camera. We need to be honest. We can't keep stealing from people. And that's the other thing, you know, as I put together the obituary and stuff, 10 years ago when my mother-in-law passed, it was free up to a certain limit. And now it's not. So I find that to be kind of hard. And when you talk to them, they're not nice. But I did encounter some niceties while I have been doing this work. Why I'm sharing this is there's an evil force among us. There's a lot of bitterness. I don't want to say hatred because I think it's more bitterness. And, you know, do we really want to live like that? The reason I went to therapy after leaving my home as a child was because bitterness was a horrible, horrible feeling. And bitterness causes you to lash out, to be angry, and to cause pain to those you see as easily to offend. And yet, when they respond to your behavior, you get more angry. Now, I'm not pointing this just at healthcare. I'm pointing this at everybody, including myself, because I have been really trying hard. And I walk away a lot. And there's been a few instances where I have been lambasted, where I said, I've had it. I'm out of here. And that's what I do. Because you see, I have to speak up. But I also have learned that I understand. But nobody, I am not going to take this abuse. Because I didn't do anything to deserve it. We are all hurting. We're all going to respond to things in ways that are not normal for us. Some people have become cold in how they communicate. There's no reason for that. People that you've had relationships with for 10, 12 years or more, and now all of a sudden it's cold. You can't expect people to retain positive information. And if you're in healthcare, you can't expect patients to be transparent when they no longer trust you. We want to trust our healthcare providers. We truly, truly do. But we don't want to be hurt. We don't want notes put on our charts. We don't want all of this stuff, because when we share things with you, when we explain that this is what's going on so that you can better understand what is going on in our lives, so you understand our responses, that's supposed to be confidential. I mean, if somebody's beating on you and doing all sorts of stuff, yeah, that's a violent person. But people who are normally not like that, they shouldn't be written up for stuff like that. And people are. People are being written up all the time. I do believe our country can be better. I do believe we as people can be better. So I realize not a lot of you are Christians, and that's fine, but I do want to share a few scripture verses. In Colossians chapter 3, verse 12, therefore, as God's chosen people, holy and dearly loved, clothe yourselves with compassion, kindness, humility, gentleness, and patience. After all the therapy I did in my younger years, it still took time to develop those characteristics. I'm not perfect. I'm not perfect. And yet, as I sit back and I'm being hurt by different people that I dearly, dearly love, or I dearly, dearly care for, or those I've had positive relationships for a number of years, it hurts. And yet I'm choosing to understand. I'm feeling my feelings, because folks, I can't hold it in and not have feelings, because I will. Everybody's going to have feelings. But what we're not everybody is doing, what we need to do is just say, okay, this is not their normal behavior. This is not their normal response. Sometimes you can ask them, but if they're hurting, they're not going to answer you. They're going to attack you, or be sharp, or be short. But try to understand that every single one of us has fallen victim to the evil of our leadership, from the greed of our leadership, and now our world. Oh my heavens. Our groceries have gone up from 200 to 300% in some areas. I didn't know this. I have some rice, but we don't eat rice every single day. But somebody said when they bought 25 pounds of bag of rice, like 3 years ago, it was $25, and now it's $75 a pound. I'm like, it's $75 for the 25 pound. I'm like, oh my goodness. And I see it on other avenues too. Let's look at eggs. You used to be able to get eggs for $1, $1.50, and now it's up to $4 to $6. Farm fresh, which are the ones that I consume, they're up between $8 and $12 a dozen. Those are the ones who are in the farm business, doing it more for business. But there are some farmers out there that are still selling them for between $3 and $5. I haven't found them. Hopefully I will, because my chickens aren't doing their job yet. I just want to share that, those that I know, I love. And I know one of my characteristics that maybe it's not a healthy thing. I tend to love a lot of people. Evil people I don't. I might love them, I might pray for them, but they're not my buddy. And there's a lot of people in politics that, I'm sorry, I am not a political person, but I will go out and vote. There's a lot of evil. And you know how in your workforce, in your work environment, you're doing your job that you've loved for years, and then all of a sudden changes come through, and it's not necessarily from your boss, but it's coming down from the top to the office managers, to your boss, to you, and it's changes that you never imagined would take place. That is what is happening in our government. And that is why, as all these changes take place, all the costs that we are going to incur, all the things we have to do in order to adapt. And some people will not adapt very well. But in another video, I'm going to share, I did some money matter type videos before, but I'm going to share some different ways that we can take care of our electric bill. Will it bring it down the amount that it's going up? Ours is going up 70%. Yahoo! I'm not thrilled about that, but as of December 1st, our electric bill will be substantial. I'm grateful that I got my oil when it was at a low point, but that's going up. So we are making whatever adjustments possible to hold back. And that's what we have to do. And I think sometimes we get upset because life isn't going to be the same that we were used to. If we think about it, eggs at 99 cents a dozen was a luxury. Why are they finding so much bird flu everywhere? I have no idea. Why is there so many facilities food manufacturing facilities burning? I don't know. I don't know the truth. Because I can't believe anybody anymore. Do I think there's evil doing behind it all? Yes. Could it be natural? Yes. Could it be greed from the manufacturer? Yeah. I don't know. All I'm choosing to do, you can choose it or not, is we are cutting back on so many ways, in so many ways, because we can't consume the same size steak. Or my husband and I shared a hamburger the other day because we want to cut back on what we're spending, but also it's not going to hurt our diets at all. And but we are also making sure that what we purchase is healthy. And he did purchase some cookies because I haven't had a chance to bake. And hey, you got to do what you got to do, because he goes to work and I'm at home. I can grab some grapes from the refrigerator. I can do this, or grab an apple. But he likes homemade baked cookies or all that stuff. So I don't, at this point, at this juncture, that's okay in my mind because he's making it. But we don't go out to eat. But we've never gone out to eat except prior to the COVID. And we went out 3 times a year. Occasionally we might go and get some Chinese, but we don't go out to eat. And does it bother us? Not really. Not at all. But these are some things that people are realizing that they can't do in order to keep their house warm this winter, in order to keep lights going this winter, in order to have water, in order to have heat. Not all people, middle class and the poor community, will do well. Although the middle class are the ones that are going to suffer the most, because those who can get food stamps, help with their housing and all this stuff, they should be okay to a certain degree. Whereas those of us who just meet over that border, it's going to be challenging. And for many, that's going to be hard. And I was looking over, my husband asked me to take a look at the new healthcare policy that he has. And he asked me, are we going to buy it? Because we had talked, I'm not getting healthcare. We haven't decided. It's not gone up that much for the policy that we want, or the one that we have. But with me removing so many physicians out, and his primary care is not in the healthcare setting, the big corporate setting. I now have a holistic doctor who is not participating in that as well. I just have one doctor left. And I don't want to leave that doctor because he's doing something for me that has been proven to be very effective. But I have cut back. And there's services that he desires that I take, and I declined one. I said I have to wait a year. And these are just normal things that we all do every couple years. And part of the reason I told him this past spring is I just feel like a number. I'm not a patient anymore. I am a number that comes in and you cash out. That's what's missing in healthcare. That, we need compassion. But folks who are not working in the healthcare setting, or even if you do and you're a consumer in grocery stores, retail stores, wherever, vacation spots, we are not entitled people, whether we have the money or not. We are not entitled for us to abuse them. That's not something that is appropriate. What we're entitled to is good service, quality service when we show that we ourselves care, that we are compassionate to what they're going through. I went somewhere and my pharmacy is really a great one. And so I went in. There was a new girl that I had never met. And I went in there and I was my chipper self. And she was not chipper at all. And I said, "Excuse me?" I said, "I'll be back." And the other staff saw that I was not happy. And I wasn't mean. I just walked. And so later I called. And I said, "I need to come in from my medication, and could you tell me?" And they said, "What happened?" I said, "I wasn't treated very well, and that's not typical of your pharmacy." I said, "I love your pharmacy. You guys treat everybody so well." I said, "I won't come in and be treated that way. And I don't want her fired." I said, "I'm not looking to get her fired. I'm just saying when I come in with a smile. I'm happy. I'm cheerful. I'm always kind to you guys." And I didn't know what I said. And they said, "You didn't say anything wrong." And I said, "Okay." So she's having a bad day. But I do. I walk out of situations like that. More and more people, you need to stop. You need to walk away. And healthcare providers, nurses, everybody, if you're being mistreated, you need to say stop. It's okay to not be abused, but be very careful. Is the abuse from how you're treating them, or is it them coming in and attacking you? Because that does happen. So I wanted to bring this up because I wanted to share it last week, but I thought, no, it's too fresh of a wound. And right now it's not. And I'm just really grateful. And I think it was healing to be dealing with people who were very compassionate about the loss of my father-in-law. They were so kind. Except AAA. Actually, let me fix that. They were kind. They just weren't going to give 1 month prorated back. And it's just like, whatever. I'm not here to nickel and dime everything. I was just, because as we end subscriptions and all that kind of stuff, who wants all of these things? Not necessarily the family. So I'm just doing my job. I'm trying to be nice. So I am hoping that as consumers of health, consumers of retail, consumers of anything, education, anything that you are a part of, that you're paying for, that you stop and think about how you are treating the person who is serving you. They're not slaves. They are servants in a capacity to serve you. They deserve respect. And yet on the flip side, those in upper management, and I don't care if you're a CEO, you need to stop treating your staff in a manner that makes them unhappy working for you. Because what that does is it triggers them to be people that they are not normal. Excuse me, I said that wrong. It's triggering them to be people that is not normal for them. You can't be manipulative business owners, CEOs. You can't do that if you want success. And I read that healthcare facilities are not doing well financially. Their numbers are going down. And that could be, first of all, in some areas, there's no PCPs to see patients. Goodness, really? My thing is, when we were seeing PCPs, they were only working 20 hours a week for patient care. And they were spreading the wealth among other staff members. And it was about 10, 12 years ago I was seeing a doctor and loved her. And yet they put her on part-time hours too. And the nurse came on and I said, "Why is she not working full-time like she used to?" She goes, I don't know, but we take the slack. We have to do her job. That's not right at all. So even before COVID, you've been mistreating your staff. And this particular doctor ended up getting another job so that she could make a living. We shouldn't put our doctors in a place, most especially our young doctors, in a place where they have to work 2 jobs after the number of years they've invested of their time and their resources. And many of those resources are having to be paid back to the point where they can't. I'm sure these upper management people are not listening to me today because I'm beneath them. And I'm okay with that. But I'm not beneath God in the sense that He loves me, He adores me, and He will guide me. Folks, I really do care. And I honestly hope that my message today is not being received poorly. I hope you understand that. I understand what you're going through. But I also understand my body, my emotions, and what I'm going through. Every day, we don't know what somebody has gone through. We don't know if somebody lost a loved one. Maybe it wasn't a father-in-law. It could have been a spouse. Or how about a child? And they come in and you treat them like that from the get-go. Folks, we gotta stop. We got to reach out and care. Let's get back to where if you saw a patient not doing well, you gave them a hug. Okay, maybe it's not professional, but you know what? Makes a difference. Or how about your hand on their shoulder? Really, we can go back to shaking hands because you say that hand sanitizer works. We need to embrace, whether it's a handshake with the warmth of your hand, there's a lot of healing energy within our hands, within our hearts. And for those who are able to hug, that embrace is the most healing that you can offer somebody. So, folks, I care about you. I care about this country and our world. I care that, we do have a lot of people fighting back because we need to stand up for what we believe. The first step is to share love, to share compassion, have humility, and be kind. God bless.